Welcome to Lancashire Fire and Rescue Services podcast series Out of the Ashes Stories from Lancashire. In this episode today, we're diving into all things road safety. I'll be chatting to Crew Manager Charlie from Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service, Group Manager Craig from Northwest Ambulance Service, and Scene Manager and Family Liaison Officer Simon from the Serious Collision Unit at Lancashire Police. We'll be talking about what happens at road traffic collisions and the roles that they play, the trends that they're seeing on our roads, and the fatal 5 behaviours. We'll also be looking at how different groups, from young drivers to older motorists, can stay safe and share practical tips for everyone behind the wheel. Do you want to just each of you in turn tell me what your role is within your service?
Yeah, so from the police service, I work on the Serious Collision Unit. Our role is to attend serious life-changing collisions and collisions involving fatalities, and we investigate the collision. I work as one of the scene managers overseeing the collision. I'm also a family liaison officer as well.
Yeah, so I'm Charlie. I'm an operational crew manager based out of Skelmersdale and an on-call crew manager based out of Ormskirk. So we basically ride fire engines to different incidents, working alongside the police and Northwest Ambulance Service, depending on what the incident is that we go to.
And I'm Craig, I'm one of the group managers for Northwest Ambulance Service. I cover the South Lancashire area, so I respond to larger incidents but also look after a group of stations within the area.
Perfect. So in this section, we're just going to discuss the roles that each emergency service plays at a scene of a road traffic collision, which obviously you all play completely different roles, but you work together for the same reason. So at a road traffic collision, what does the fire service do? Do you want to give us a brief overview?
Yeah, so obviously depending on what the situation is, it can vary. It is dependent on what we would do. An incident like that can vary from simply disconnecting a battery, making the scene safe for our partner agencies to work there, whether that be like highways as well as the police and Northwest Ambulance Service. Going to an incident we'd have to create dynamically. So we'd start off with a B plan really, and that would be like a quick access. But all that depends on what Northwest Ambulance Service tell us that the casualty situation is, whether they need to be, whether the critical need to come out. We'll implement taking the door off and putting in like a rapid rescue sort of thing, and then it can vary to a full golden hour sort of time scale, where within the first 25 minutes we should have a full roof off and we're doing a full extrication of a casualty inside a vehicle really. But like I say, that all depends on working alongside the paramedics on scene and the police as well.
So it feels natural to come to you next, the ambulance service?
Yeah, so I mean our role is always going to be that patient management and the care of them, and we work with all the services. So when we're looking at the patient in the vehicle or outside the vehicle, we've got to put a plan together, and we'll use the expertise from the fire service to sort of say the best option, and we'll start by saying whether that's going to be a quick thing or something that can be done at sort of slow time. It can be quite frightening for the person in the car. We're aware that sometimes critically we need to move them quickly. So there's a lot of conversation that'll take place about how we're going to do that, whilst also maintaining the safety of all the responders that are on the scene at the same time.
Finally, I'll come across to the police. So what's your role when you're at a road traffic collision?
So our main role is to take charge of a scene and secure it for evidential purposes to investigate it. However, preservation of life always comes first. We'll always link in with a fire service, ambulance service to see what they need. Depends where it is. If it's on a motorway, they may need to bring further resources in, so we'll accommodate bringing people the wrong way down the motorway. Any environmental issues, we'll link in with the fire service. And then once the casualty's been extracted and the scene's handed over to ourselves, that's when our investigation work will continue. So if it's a serious sort of fatality, we'll call out our forensic collision unit. They'll come and take measurements, look at physical evidence to try and find the cause of the accident. We'll deploy family liaison officers to the family's address to make family aware to get them to the hospital. And then as a scene manager, I'll take charge of allocating actions on what I need for the investigation, such as CCTV, casualty details, witness details. So there's quite a lot that goes into a collision. The big one from the police, a lot of the time it may look like we're not doing a lot because the fire service have got their role, the ambulance have got their role.
Yeah.
But primarily we're trying to make sure that we don't let further people into the scene for further risk or contaminate the scene.
Clearly, each role of each service is different, but you work together to, well, help everybody that's in, unfortunately, that incident. Let's look at Lancashire as a whole. What are we seeing predominantly? Are we seeing any trends? What are you seeing out there on the roads when you're attending road traffic collisions? I'll leave it open to the group.
Seeing a lot more younger drivers involved in collisions, certainly from my experience lately. I haven't been wearing seat belts. I've been certainly collisions in the past 12 months where young drivers would have survived the collision or certainly not received serious injuries if they did have a seat belt on. We've been to numerous occasions lately where people have actually been ejected from vehicles due to the force involved in the collision, and if he did have a seat belt on, they wouldn't have been ejected.
I think we're seeing that ambulance-wise as well, like medically. It's tragic when you go into an incident like that and you're just thinking if that seatbelt had been on, it would have been such a different outcome. And the medical sort of the severity of it when they've been ejected from a vehicle, certainly if it's not been a fatality, you're talking major trauma, life-changing injuries. So even if it's not fatality, you know that it's going to be a long recovery if they even make it. We're also seeing the same with the young people as well. A lot more people who are doing sort of not just the drink driving used to be a thing very historically, but a lot more drug driving as well now. Again, tragic outcomes, and also tragic outcomes for those that survive and end up being arrested.
Even vehicles where the driver's not the actual cause of a collision have tested positive for cannabis, seen a rise in ketamine use in driving vehicles, and the nitrous oxides still seems to be about where you get numerous calls of people driving whilst on nitrous. So we have had a rise in it, certainly around cannabis use, because I think a lot of people now see cannabis as socially accepted, not realising it is still an illegal drug and you shouldn't be driving on it.
Is there one line that you'd like to say to young people out there to try and get this through to them?
Might not seem cool wearing a seatbelt, but I've certainly been to many collisions where seatbelts have saved lives. Went to one a few weeks ago, and I've been to many collisions where people not wearing seatbelts, it's clearly caused bad injuries. So I'd probably say is just make sure you've got the seatbelt on. It's one piece of fabric across your chest and across your waist, but it's likely to save your life.
We see it with older people as well.
Yeah.
We've seen it with older people who will plug the seatbelt in behind them so it's not beeping whilst they're driving. I just don't quite fully get it, but I think we've seen the other end of that. And I think when you see, what it can do, it really makes you think, why would you do that?
Big massive message that isn't just for the emergency services to be passing on for people wearing seatbelts, and that's aimed at younger drivers and stuff, but even being a parent and going to school and being a parent myself now, it's like it constantly put your seatbelt on, you drive completely differently now, that you see all of the things you see really.
It is really important to make sure that everybody in the car has got their seatbelt on correctly to ensure safety if the worst thing was to happen.
I was involved from the ambulance. I was involved in a really tragic case whereby it was a rear seat passenger that wasn't wearing one, and it was the injuries that they caused the front seat passenger.
Wow.
Because they weren't buckled in, they've shot forward at the speed that car was going with the full body weight and everything. And the person in the front of the car, without going into too much, but they were trapped in that car and they needed to be recovered. They just cut them out with the fire service. And that was all through the person in the back of the vehicle.
Going forward at
Who was a mate, he was a friend of one of the others, and you just think, if they'd have had that belt on, what a difference that potentially could have made.
Just following on from that, so a piece of information we give to as kids and children in year 6 from our educational point of view is if you don't have your seatbelt on and you're travelling at more than 30 mile an hour, you actually become the same weight as a baby elephant in a vehicle if it's come into a collision.
Really?
So as a trajectile, you become the weight of a baby elephant if you're travelling over 30 mile an hour. So if you think, just use that as a something to put in your head. If you think of how big and heavy a baby elephant is, and you're in a Ford KA or you're in a pretty small car, you've not got a lot of places to go really, have you? If you've not got a seatbelt on, and you just think if something happens and it takes a split second for something to happen that is outside of your control.
Like we said about putting a seatbelt on, it only takes a second, but it only takes a second for something to go significantly wrong in a car and it might not be your fault, but there's precautions that we can take to help.
But they're not doing it in the back of taxis and things. So we're still seeing it in taxis where the person in the back, certainly a black cab as well, you know, big open space in the back of one of them. And if one of them has a crash, you're certainly going to go flying. So it seems like any vehicle you're in, just pop that belt on, it's so easy.
Well, it's there for a reason, isn't it?
I think the problem is people always have that mentality is it's not going to happen to me. But the problem you've got with how many cars on the road this day and age, as colleagues mentioned, you could be the safest driver in the world. You can't anticipate what other people are going to do.
That was a really interesting conversation. It's definitely really important to have those seatbelts on, and well, like we said, we're not just targeting younger drivers, but that is what we're currently seeing quite an influx of. But as a whole, nationally, we are seeing a lot of coverage for road traffic collisions and impacts on the roads, specifically in Lancashire. Simon, do you want to shed a little bit more light on that for me?
Yeah, so one of the national priorities at the moment I've noticed is older drivers. Generally in the UK, we've now got a more ageing population. One thing I have been involved in, and it's national coverage, the coroner made a programme on it, is within Lancashire we had 2 fatalities, both over east of the county, where the drivers that have caused the fatal collision both had inadequate eyesight, where they shouldn't have been on the road, but because it was a self-certification, they've said their eyesight's fit and they've continued driving. So there's no winners in it. Fatal collisions, they do ruin the lives of both the victims and the drivers. They've got to live with the fact that they've been involved in a fatal collision.
It's not just their eyesight as well, is it? Also changes to medication as well from a medical point of view. You'll get to a certain age in life and before you know it you're on different medication. And there's a lot of emphasis at the moment on people just having to self-report and do things. I think it's being aware of what medication you're on or being aware of what medical condition you've got, because there are some that can certainly affect your ability to drive, you know, in a safe manner. And again, the repercussions of that, you know, you never know who's driving, doing a school pickup, and before you know it, you've got a grandparent who's unfortunately going to be causing a collision, and it has massive knock-on effects. So I think the big thing is get your eyes tested, certainly do that, but also check the medication you're on, speak to your doctor, see whether it's something you do need to talk to the DVLA about. And people are scared of it because they think the DVLA is going to just take the licence off them straight away. I think just check, because half the time if you can do that and you know you're safe, then
I think
that's the main thing.
Around the medication, a lot of people assume drug driving, such as the Section 5 driving over prescribed limits or unfit through drugs, is just cocaine, cannabis, heroin, or your recreational drugs. It does also cover medication as well. So I think for elderly drivers, if they are on various cocktail and medication, is just knowing, are they fit to drive?
Again, it's about just thinking for yourself, or if you've got a loved one that you're concerned about, are their reactions as quick as you would like? Would you be happy to put your own kids in the car with them? It's a really difficult conversation to have with maybe an elderly relative, to ask them, do you think you should still be on the road? But it's something that, again, just would you be able to think about what would happen if you didn't have that conversation?
It definitely is a difficult conversation, having to have it with a grandparent or an elderly relative, or even your neighbour sometimes. I know my granddad was exactly the same. It was a really difficult conversation having it with him because it was his independence, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the elderly people. And then we ended up buying him this Gucci scooter that he could just go around everywhere that he wanted to, and he loved it. But it's having that initial conversation with and just in my hand here, I've got an educational package that we give out in the home fire safety checks that we're giving out, and it's just re-emphasising the fact that you do need to get your eyes tested, and a lot of people don't know the distance that they need to be able to see, which is 20 metres, and just being able to read a registration plate. So even if you just want to play a game with yourself as you're listening to this now or something, and look out the window or try and find something 20 metres away, that's probably, like if you're sat in your living room or wherever you are now in your kitchen, just try and read the chopping board or something that's on there and see if you can read it. And if you can't, then that might be something that you need to go, I could go and get my eyes tested here.
Yeah, I think the big one is taking someone's independence away. No one wants to do it, but sometimes you've got to think of the bigger picture. Is if your family member was involved in a collision and they unfortunately killed somebody, your family member's got to live with that for the rest of their life. but also it's the impact on the rest of the family they have to put up with as well. It's the impact on the victims' families. So sometimes you do have to have that chat with them, as my colleagues mentioned. There's a lot of organisations out there that can assist with people.
Yeah, well, I've just literally had a look at the bottom of that leaflet as that discussion was going on there, and it's something that I didn't actually realise as a distance thing or a way to look at it. It says on the bottom of that, if you do less than 2,000 miles a year, it might be time to retire your driving licence. And I'm just thinking back to, like, going back to my granddad and my neighbour and things like that. The shop that he drives to is 150 metres away, and he still takes his car out and things like that. But that's because that's what he wants to do, and that's what it is. But if that's the case, and there's the deterioration of eyesight and different medication, it's not the be all and end all. Losing your car, that might allow you to have more of a social community build up, because all he has to do is knock at our door and we'll take him out, or we'll go to the shop with him, or well, that's just my personal situation. But I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of people who are be really happy and willing to help their elderly relative, neighbour, in doing whatever they needed to do to go and get the newspaper that they still read.
I think it's just routine as well, and if you've been driving for 50, 60, 70 years, you've got that routine where it's just easy to jump in your car and go. And certainly elderly people, unfortunately I've had to revoke people's driving licences due to eyesight. It's not a nice thing to do, but as the police service we have had to do it. And on some people, they are only driving 1,000 to 2,000 miles a year, if that. So it's not a nice thing to do, but it's just to be aware of it.
We've looked at what we're seeing on the roads. One thing I am interested in finding out about is mobile phone use. I know in the time that I've been driving, the laws came in that you were not allowed on your mobile phone, and I know in the future they're looking at whether you can have GPS on your phone or whether it has to be in the car. Is this still a thing? Are we still seeing road traffic collisions with mobile phone use, or are you still seeing road users using their mobile phones whilst they're driving?
I think from an enforcement point of view, from a police, is certainly in my time on traffic, it did seem to calm down slightly when we changed it up to 6 points on your driving licence. However, recently I'll probably say it has risen again. I think social media has probably not helped. Certainly in my time I've been involved in investigating collisions where people have been making Snapchat videos, TikTok videos whilst driving, or even having a mobile phone and watching YouTube videos. It's taking their attention off the road. So I have seen a rise in it in stuff I've investigated. Whether it's a national rise, I don't know without looking at figures, but that's just probably from my personal experience.
It's the distraction, isn't it? I think if you think about how people can multitask so well now with a phone in one hand whilst eating the tea at the same time. It's different when you're in a vehicle, and all it takes is that split second of not concentrating on what you're doing, where it all goes completely wrong. And it's again the social media side of it. You're seeing people they're trying to get likes, and you often get them showing off in front of their friends or putting videos on there or whatever you get. But it's not just that younger generation as well. I think you are seeing people, they'll stop at a set of lights and they'll do a quick search on something. I don't know the full laws around it. I think I'd speak to Simon about that one. But as well, cars nowadays, there's so much technology on there to allow you to be able to just connect it up there and be able to play your music and what have you. But it's another one of them that I think it's just a simple thing, just to put it away while you're doing.
I know we only see, from our point of view, that we don't really get to know quite often what actually happens after an incident. Fire service point of view, just specifically, we go and do what is required of us, and it might be like a really major incident, or we've got to do a lot of cutting out, and we're affected by what we've seen and things like that, and then we don't get to find out what happens after it unless it goes to coroner's court and stuff. But there is a massive knock-on effect for if you're the driver and then you're not just the only person who's affected, you've affected the emergency service who might have been able to go and do something else, assist in someone else's basically worst day of their life, really, haven't they, depending on what their situation is, as well as their immediate friends and family, anyone else that they know, and then if they've come into contact with someone else, then it's whoever's affected there. So doing all these different things and having like back to seatbelts, different medications, distractions and things like that, there is a massive knock-on effect, not just from that one person and the immediate effect. I know earlier there was all the investigations that go into it. It's a massive investigation just to go to coroner's court to say these are all A to Z of the people that have been affected in this.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's frustrating because all the things that we're talking about are just really simple things you can just do.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to go away and study for 50 years to learn something. They're really simple things that you can do to make a difference to your life and those around you.
And the ultimate thing is we want people to go home at the end of the day. Even if we save one person's life, we want people to go home. As my colleague from fire service mentioned, it's a knock-on effect on everyone, including witnesses. I've had to refer witnesses to certain collisions through to support through Aftermath and other charities because of what they're seeing. But you don't wish it on anyone. And some stuff we see, certainly what the witnesses see, you can't get out of your head. It does sit with you. I can remember every single fatal I've been to near enough. And I'd say I'm used to it because of the job I do, but I can remember every job I've gone to and every family I've supported as an FLO.
Yeah, I completely. We don't necessarily know we're signing up for it, but we sign up to go out and deal with these situations. The people who are actually involved in them, who are majorly affected, don't sign up to see what they see, to be involved in what they see. And if people want to drive like this, then there's places and times to go and do it. There's all advanced courses that people can go on, which all it takes now is just to use your phone when you're at home, not in a car, and Google an advanced course. There's that many out there, not to specifically name any, but they reduce your insurance and have massive knock-on effects for all of the massive cost of living prices that are out there now, as well as if you want to drive like that, if you want to do like that, there's circuits around, and there's courses you can go on where you get taught how to drive safely and process things on the road better to make.
And the courses are fun. They teach you, you learn so much on them about how to drive. It's not just about driving safe, it's also about having a better view of the road, reading the road, if that makes sense, reading other road users as much as you can, because like we were saying earlier on, you could be what you think is the best driver in the world and it just takes somebody else's mistake. But these courses help you anticipate some of that because of the way you're looking at what other people are doing. So they're good fun and they're definitely good for drivers to kind of stand up to if they can.
Well, I'm sure all of us have done something in here, and I can tell you now that was probably the best 2-week course I've done, driving around Lancs in a fire appliance. Not just under blue lights either, but even going like onto the bike and sort of stuff. I'm an instructor for ROSPA, which is an advanced motorcycle thing, and even then I'm still learning stuff all the time. So the people come on there, want to be on there and want to do it, and we just have a good laugh.
So we've spoken about quite a lot of the dangers and what what we're seeing out on the roads with road traffic collisions. Now, from my job role, I know that these are part of the Fatal 5. We talk about this a lot on socials. A lot of people probably have heard us say the words Fatal 5, but might not know what that actually means. Could I open this to the room so we can go through what the Fatal 5 is and, well, what we're seeing?
The Fatal 5 is, from my understanding, it's the 5 most common causes of fatal collisions. Speed being the number one priority. We all moan about when your speed camera van's out, me being one of them. But there is a reason for that, and it's to try and reduce people's speed to prevent serious or fatal collisions. Mobile phone use is another one, as we discussed earlier on. Drink of drugs, careless driving, and seatbelts.
All the things we've been discussing as well, really, aren't they? So, and I think that's because certainly in this area, with them being some of the highest things, the things that are going to cause the biggest injury, or in this case, the fatalities. That's why there's so much focus on them at the moment.
And obviously, with speed being the biggest trend out of the Fatal 5, or the most serious issue out of the Fatal 5 at the minute, I think the statistics show from like speed awareness courses and things like that, and the advanced courses, if you're travelling at 70 mile an hour down a road and you're covering 100 mile an hour, you're going to get there in a certain amount of time. But then if you then decide to do 80 mile an hour and cover that exact 100 miles at exactly the same time, you're only going to get there 8 seconds quicker. So it doesn't matter that that time difference is only so small. Travelling at the speed that you're actually meant to be travelling at, which is much safer, you're only going to lose 8 seconds. And
the time saved is ridiculously small, yet the consequences are ridiculously high.
That's
what we're saying,
We've probably all seen it coming home from work. If you're drivers or even as a passenger, you'll have someone that overtakes you. You probably swear to yourself. They carry on speeding at stupid speeds, and then 2 minutes later you sat behind the same car again in traffic. And we'll all have seen it at some point. We've not gained any ground.
I think we've covered a great amount in this episode, and it's definitely been educational for not just myself, but I hope everyone that's listening. I asked this to all of our guests, so can I ask, what's the biggest takeaway you hope the listeners take away from this episode? So we'll go through the police, fire, and then the ambulance service. Is that okay?
So I think for myself is people just being more awareness on the roads that there can be a dangerous place, and as long as we take precautions, put seatbelts, just keep yourself as safe as possible, and try and reduce the number of deaths or serious injuries we have on the Lancashire roads.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, and hopefully I'm speaking for the whole of the fire service, really, is just people having more of an understanding of how big the knock-on effect of causing situations is on the roads, not just for the emergency services, because that is what we sign up to do, is to help people, but it's just having an understanding of the knock-on effect of not just yourself, but it's your immediate family and anyone else who's involved in the incident that you might be dealing with, however small it is.
I think these are really simple things we've talked about, simple things that you can do, anyone can do, just to make a real difference to your life and those around you. Unfortunately, we do work together quite closely, but ideally we'd like to not see each other whilst we're in work. So simple things just to make your life easier.
So thank you very much for taking the time today to talk to me. I think it's been a great episode and definitely worth a listen for everybody who's out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you're interested in finding out about road safety, please head to our website on www.lancsfirerescue.org.uk/road. The link will be in the episode notes below. On our webpage we have a section for road safety advice, road safety for pedestrians and winter road safety. And remember, if you liked our episode, please like and subscribe, and let's make Lancashire safer together.